Manchester City failed to win a single trophy last season. And with some of their greatest ever players getting older or leaving entirely, this new era feels a little uncertain. I just don't think Pep Guardiola is the one to lead this next generation. So today, I'm taking over Man City for the next 10 seasons to rebuild their identity and dominate world football once again. And as I have become the new Man City manager, we do have 4 huge objectives to complete. First one is to win 30 trophies to continue and fill Man City's already overcrowded trophy cabinet. We also have to go ahead and win a treble. Man City did not win a single trophy last season, but one of the best teams of all time was that treble City winning season. So of course, we have to recreate it. We also need one of our players to win the Ballon d'Or that is from the Man City Academy. And if you guys do remember, Guardiola said Phil Foden was the best player he had ever seen. And finally, we do need a center attacking midfielder to reach a 91 overall, because I believe Kevin De Bruyne was Man City's best ever player. So of course, we need to find that Belgian replacement. And as hard as these challenges are, it's about to get even harder, because with FC26 around the corner, we will be using their new edition of unexpected events and boys that can easily sabotage us and prevent us from taking Man City back to the top. And guys, I cannot lie, I think Man City had the best transfer window, signing the likes of Aïnouri, one of the best defenders in the Premier League. Of course, also bringing in Ryan Cherki. He is one of the best young talents in world football. And of course, the man everyone is talking about, Tijani Reindeers. Yes, the K-man might misspell his name, but so far he's been absolutely ridiculous. I think this team can go ahead and win all 30 trophies and win that treble. However, it's time for our first unexpected event, and it seems like it's gonna be board budget cuts. The owners claim that we have spent way too much money in this window, so they will be halving our current transfer budget, and if we want to sign anybody else, we must sell players. So that leaves us with 70 million to spend. And to be honest, that really does hinder my plans, because I wanted to sign a superstar left winger as well as a superstar right back, but with 70 million, that just isn't possible. However, I think I found the solution. If we could sell Ilkay Gundogan, Mateo Kovacic, and Ederson, we could definitely make enough money back to hopefully sign a superstar right back, but more importantly, a superstar left winger. And as we're waiting for offers for our players, also remember that one of our goals is to get a Belgian midfielder to a 90 overall. But as I take a look around the transfer market, I don't know if there's any talented young players that can fill that gap. And of course, there is the man we need to replace playing for Napoli. I'm sure we will find somebody. And believe it or not, I think I found 3 options that could go ahead and replace De Bruyne and complete that 91 overall challenge for a Belgian midfielder. And the first one being Yuri Tielemans. This guy used to be one of the best wonder kids in FIFA back in the day. However, he's already 28 years old. In only a couple years time, he will start decreasing in overall. And our second option is Astor Franks. Ironically, is playing for Wolfsburg, the club where Kevin De Bruyne really exploded. However, at a 75 overall at 22 years old, I'm not sure if he's the one. And the final option we do have is Charles de Ketelaere, 24 years old and really killed in Atalanta. I think he might be the player best suited to replace Kevin De Bruyne. However, with a price range from 44 million to 55 million, is it worth signing him right away? However, the great news is we were able to sell the likes of Ederson and Gundogan, as well as Mateusz Kovacic, which has given us a total of 191 million. I think we will be able to sign Charles de Ketelaere, but we're gonna have to pick either a superstar right back or a superstar left winger. So for 44 million, we have brought in Charles de Ketelaere, and hopefully he can be the guy to replace Kevin De Bruyne. However, as Charles joins the side, it creates a huge problem. We now have a total of 3 players that can play in the attacking mid, and Ryan Cherki, Phil Foden, and of course de Ketelaere. However, I think I found the solution to all of our problems. We have changed the formation to a 4-3-3 attack. De Ketelaere will be playing behind Erling Haaland, Cherki off the right, and Phil Foden is gonna have to convert to a left winger, which means we have to trust that he goes back to his old form, and we will not be signing a superstar left winger as of right now. But that does give us the opportunity to sign a world-class right back. And the 2 options I found is Tino Livramento from Reject FC and Pedro Porro from Tottenham. As great potential Livramento does have, we already have a young right back from England, and that's Rico Lewis. So for 52.5 million, I had to bring in Pedro Porro, as he is a little bit more proven right now, but also we're weakening a rival, which can help us win more trophies. And as Pedro Porro joins the lineup, we can now convert Ryan Cherki to a right winger, which gave him a +1 in his overall. And of course, Phil Foden will be swapping wings, and it's very interesting because remember, we do need an academy player to win the Ballon d'Or, and Phil Foden is going to be an option. However, he isn't the only option, as backup right back Rico Lewis is also from the City Academy. But there there is even more options in the likes of Oscar Bob, Nico O'Reilly, Mr. Dodgy named Simpson, as well as brand new starting keeper James Trafford. And if worse comes to worse, we can bring somebody back like Cole Palmer or Morgan Rogers to do the job. And of course, who didn't expect Haaland to be the top goal scorer with 54 goals? However, Rodri did shine in a new center mid position, and it seems like Phil Foden might be back with 15 goals and 11 assists, while Ryan Cherky is also doing well on that right wing. However, De Ketelaere did have a good season, but it's not on KDB's typical level. And there has been a lot of growth in our team, especially in the defense here. James Trafford went from a 76 to an 84, while Josko Gavardia went all the way up to an 87. And Tijani Rangers is also at an 87. I wouldn't be surprised if we won multiple trophies this season. And straight away, we win our first trophy in the Premier League title by a solid 11 points. And we also beat Liverpool to the FA Cup. That is a huge victory. But sadly, we cannot win our third as Newcastle win the Carabao. But boys, we are in the Champions League final. Straight away, we can go ahead and win the treble. But the question is, can Man City complete the treble against Atletico Madrid? It's a 3-0 loss. We've got embarrassed by the Spanish bottle jobs. But now, kicking off season number 2, our team, of course, is looking absolutely incredible. I wouldn't be surprised if this season we win the treble. However, here comes our second unexpected event. And that unexpected event is locker room feud. Two of your best players have fallen out after that loss to Atletico de Madrid. Phil Foden and Ryan Cherky blame each other. And now, you must sell one of them. However, the catch is you have to replace them within the squad. And boys, this is terrible news as Phil Foden is on his way back to the top. And he could be one of the players that could win us the Ballon d'Or. However, Ryan Cherky just joined the club and also had a pretty good season. I have a tough decision to make. The question is, which one of our youngsters can replace either Cherky or Phil Foden? And my decision has been made. Phil Foden is leaving the side for 150 mil to Brighton. But now the question is, who is going to replace Phil Foden? We do have Savinho, who's absolutely incredible, but he isn't the only option. We could convert Jeremy Doku to a right wing. However, we also have an interesting option in Oscar Bob, who can not only play left wing, but could also be the man to eventually win the Ballon d'Or as a youth academy player from City. However, out of 75 overall, is it really going to help us to win trophies? I don't think so, not just yet at least. So for now, he just stay out on loan. And Savinho is next up to replace Phil Foden. In terms of signings this season, I definitely think we need a backup left back for Aït-Nouri, as well as a backup center attacking mid for De Ketelaere, because if he doesn't step up, we're eventually gonna have to find another Belgian. So with the 200 million and so we had, I went in for Lewis Hall for 63 million to back up Aït-Nouri, and for 54 million, I brought in the young and talented Nico Paz. And if you think this was a brilliant signing, make sure to subscribe. And as the two new signings join the bench, let's see how many trophies we can win this season, but more importantly, can Savinho replace Foden and De Ketelaere finally have a great season. And it's another great season for Haaland, but De Ketelaere has his breakout season. It seems that competition is all he needed. And it seems we're gonna be just fine with Savinho getting 11 in 5. However, if Savinho doesn't continue to improve, Oscar Bob is growing quite nicely in overall. And this squad is looking absolutely incredible. James Trafford all the way up to an 87. Ryan Cherky and Savinho at 85s. And De Ketelaere at an 84 in his best season, but he still has a long way to getting to that 91. And we do win back-to-back Premier League titles, but we failed to win the Community Shield to the bottle jobs, and we failed to win the FA Cup back-to-back, but we win the Carabao Cup. That's 2 trophies again, and we failed to reach the UCL final as we got knocked out in the round of 16. It seems like we really did miss Phil Foden. And kicking off season number 3, our team is looking incredible. However, the unexpected event is pretty crazy, and that event is a FFP warning. UEFA has been sniffing around and you've spent way too much money. You must sell 200 million worth of players before signing anybody. You dodged the bullet this season. Next time it will be a transfer ban. And boys, that is terrible news. We're gonna have to do a lot of selling. And these are the players I've transfer listed. Plenty of players who are a lot older. However, these 5 players only add up to 108 million. And I'm not sure if I want to get rid of more squad depth. And it's going to be hard to make a decision. I'm definitely not selling Haaland. He's the world's best striker. James Trafford has been been growing amazingly. We cannot get rid of him. And he could also win the Ballon d'Or. The likes of Gavardia, Rodri, and Cherki are just unsellable, especially Rodri, who's a Ballon d'Or winner. And that leaves us with the only player we can possibly sell, and that is Savinho, worth 101 million. I think he has to be sacrificed. So it's happened. Savinho has left the club to Liverpool for 120 million, as we sold the rest of the players in our transfer list and have successfully sold 200 million worth of players. And that leaves the team with a glaring weak spot on that left wing. The question is, should we sign a superstar like the likes of Rodrigo or Vinicius? And after thinking of potentially signing the likes of Rodrigo, I'm gonna go ahead and trust Oscar Bob, because we need a Man City Academy graduate, Ballon d'Or winner. And another season, another 40 goals for Erling Haaland. While Rodri, Marmoush, and Cherki are really cooking. De Ketelaere had another great season, now up to an 86. I think he is the guy who's gonna replace KDB and get to that 91. However, Oscar Bob did not have the best of seasons, 7 goals and 3 assists. But it was his first full season in the first team. And season by season, this team just gets better and better. Rodri is now a 93 overall. I never thought he'd get this high. Pedro Porro has been solid alongside Ainouri. However, Ruben Dias is starting to go down. We're gonna need to replace him next season. And Oscar Bob is now up to an 83. That is some decent growth. For a third year in a row, we win the Premier League. Arsenal just can't compete. And we also win the Community Shield, 2 trophies once again, and make that 3 with the FA Cup. We're currently on a treble. And we failed to make it 4 as we lose to the bottle jobs. At least Arsenal get their trophy. Once again in the Champions League, we're not in the final, as we lost in the semis to Juventus again. But now going into season 4, we currently have 7 trophies, still yet to win a treble and have a Ballon d'Or winner, as De Ketelaere is at an 86 overall. And to kick off season number 4, straight away we get our unexpected event, and it's going to be Youth Mandate. The board demands a youngster to start in Haaland's role all season, as they feel that we have to get ready for life without Haaland, as he's already 27 years old. And boys, this is not good news. Haaland is literally the world's best striker, but for an entire season, he will not be the starting striker. But we must listen to the board. If not, we're gonna get sacked. And the youth striker that will be starting over Haaland is Ignacio Orozco. He is Argentinian, 16 years old, has 89 potential, and has decent playstyles. You know what? This isn't too bad. However, like I said, I hope Haaland can stay happy on the bench for 1 season. But Omar Mamouche, on the other hand, I'm gonna loan list him because I do not want him to leave. And as Orozco joins the side, Rico Lewis has also overtaken Pedro Porro, so he's gonna be our brand new starting right back, as it's time to replace Ruben Dias with 150 million we do have. And why not go for the best center back in world football in Alessandro Bastoni? And as Bastoni joins the side and Rodri becomes the new captain, Omar Marmouche has gone out on loan to Leipzig. But now the question is, will Erling Haaland be pissed to be on the bench? But more importantly, will we win trophies without Haaland starting? And it seems like this season, De Ketelaere took over with 38 goals. Now at an 87, getting so ever closer to that 91. However, Erling Haaland still got a lot of game time, but scored 29 goals. And of course, Orozco just got 3 goals. He's only at a 69 overall. But with the 89 potential he does have a bright future. Where Oscar Bob leveled up just a bit, now at an 86 overall. And the rest of the growth from this squad has been incredible. 2 new 90 overall ready players in Gavardia and Trafford, as Erling Haaland is now at a 94. And for the 4th time in a row, we have won the Premier League. And we win the Community Shield as well. And make that 3 trophies with the FA Cup. But once again, we just can't win the Carabao. And for the 4th year in a row, Atletico are in the UCL final, as we miss out by losing to Dortmund in the quarters. Ever since we sold Phil Foden, we have yet to reach the UCL final again. But that's another 3 trophies, which makes it 10 so far. And now in season number 5, I have an idea on how to reach a UCL final. I think we do need a superstar winger. We do have Ryan Cherki, but Oscar Bob isn't that superstar just yet. However, I do not want to bench him or sell him. De Ketelaere has been incredible, but I think I'm going to move him down the pitch to a center midfield, kind of how like Kevin De Bruyne did in real life, to compete with Reindeers and eventually take his place. And now that he has converted to the center mid position, I'm going to go ahead and move Cherki to the attacking mid position, and I'm going to sign a superstar winger who hopefully can either set up Haaland a bunch or score a bunch of goals. And with 350 million left to spend, why not sign the world's best right winger in Lamine Yamal, who has 12 months left in his contract? Can you imagine a front 4 of Oscar Bob, Erling Haaland, Yamal, and Cherki? There's no chance we don't win the treble and the Champions Champions League. So for a whopping 350 million, we are signing the world's best player in Lamine Yamal as he arrives to the Etihad Stadium. And as Lamine Yamal joins the side, just look at this attack. However, here comes the unexpected event. And the unexpected event is star player disrespected. Haaland is extremely furious at being benched and forces a move to FC Barcelona, who have come in and made an offer. And so there we have it. Erling Haaland has left to FC Barcelona for 150 million. As we are now left with Omar Marmoush and Ignacio Orozco, the question is, should we sign a replacement? And you know what? I want to give Omar Marmoush a chance, but if he doesn't do well, we might have to sign an incredible striker. Let's see if Yamal can help us win our first Champions League. And Marmoush did a brilliant job replacing Haaland. 58 goals in 57 appearances. I don't think Haaland has scored that many goals before. Lamine Yamal has a great first season, growing to a 95. And Claudio Echeverri, who was the backup cam as I loaned out Nico Paz, actually outperformed Ryan Cherky. He needs to step up. If not, Echeverri will be the new starter. The Catalari has a great first season at center mid, while Oscar Bob continues to slowly improve. And no matter how many times the events have screwed us over, our team continues to look incredible, as it slowly became a Farmers League for us. But we failed to win the Community Shield as we lose to Liverpool. But we win the FA Cup once again. Can we finally win the Carabao? And yes, we have 3 trophies so far. And we lost in the Club World Cup final to Real Madrid. That could have been a good 4th trophy. But we failed to reach the Champions League final. The signing of Yamal did not help too much, as we got knocked out in the quarters. And now in Season 6, as we have 13 trophies, this squad needs to start to win more trophies, as the unexpected event this season is Saudi Temptation. 3 of your best players have received life-changing Saudi offers. You must accept 2 of them, as Rodri, Reindeers, and Gavardia are the ones that receive the offers. And boys, this is not an easy decision. Rodri is a 94 overall, a Ballon d'Or winner, and is currently our captain. Johnny Reindeers has been an incredible club legend, but he is also 31 years old and has already been replaced by the Catalare. And finally is Josko Gavardia, the youngest of the 3, 91 overall, and probably the world's best center back. But the question is, which 2 out of the 3 players should I move on to Saudi? So the first player I decided to let go was Johnny Reindeers, as he joins Al Ittihad. And the tough decision was to also sell Rodri to Al Nassr, as I think replacing a 34-year-old Rodri would be easier than a 28-year-old Gavardia. However, there is good news, as the Catalari is still an amazing center mid. However, we now need to replace Rodri. And I think I have found his replacement with the 284 million we do have. I'm going to go for Spanish midfielder Pedro Gonzalez. He's a completely different player from Rodri, but I think he's going to shine here at City. So for 180 million, Pedro Gonzalez joins the Sky Blues. And as Pedro now joins the starting 11, surely we have to win our first Champions League now, because we're getting closer to season number 10 and we still have 17 trophies left to win. And it's another brilliant season for Marmoush, 56 and 65, now at an 88. However, he is approaching 32 years old. But it's another brilliant season for the likes of Lamine Yamal and De Catalare. Oscar Bob is really struggling to get more than 20 goals. Maybe Orozco will be that Ballon d'Or winner. And for the first time, we missed out on the Premier League as Liverpool finally win it. But we still win the Community Shield. But we failed to win the FA Cup as Brighton wins it. But the Carabao Cup is still ours. And yes, we have finally reached the UCL final against Juventus. But sadly, we cannot win a treble, but we can at least get our first Champions League trophy here tonight, and it's a 4-2 victory as we win our first ever Champions League. And we do get our first Ballon d'Or winner in Lamine Yamal. However, of course, he isn't from the City Academy. However, there is great news, as the Catalari has reached that 91 overall, completing our first objective. But that leaves us with 16 trophies and 4 seasons to get that City Academy Ballon d'Or winner, the treble, and win 14 more trophies. And now in season number 7, it seems like Rico Lewis is losing his place, as Pedro Porro has made a comeback at 31 years old. However, the unexpected event for this season is Global Expansion Order. The board insists you replace 3 of your starting 11 players with 3 non-European starters. And this is not going to be easy, as Marmoush is the only player not European, but he does not count. We are allowed to replace him as well. And boys, this is very interesting. We do have 3 players that could potentially be in the starting 11. Claudio Echeverri, who is Argentinian, as well as Orozco, and of course Kuzanov, who's been waiting for his moment to start. I think the first player that's going to move to the starting 11 is going to be Kuzanov. I am going to be starting Echeverri this season over Cherky, as we need to sign one more player that is not European. So for 80 million, we bring in Piero Hincapié. So this is the brand new lineup with Kuzanov, Hincapié, and Echeverri being the 3 new non-European starters. Let's continue to win trophies. And another season and another top goal scorer for Omar Marmoush with 61 goals in 71 games. As Yamal continues to be incredible, but Oscar Bob has finally turned up with 25 goals and 10 assists. But Orozco is not giving up with 15 goals and now at an 86. I think I'm starting him next season. And Claudio Echeverri has stepped up to the plate as the new starter with 13 goals and 12 assists. He might be the brand new starter from now on. And now taking a look at our squad, like I mentioned before, it's the best in the world as we have 8 players in the entire squad over 90 overall. But that means nothing if we did not win any trophies. And we are back to winning the Premier League, but we failed to win the FA Cup, which means the treble is not on. But make that 18 trophies with the Carabao, and we do have 19 winning the International Cup and 20 trophies winning the UEFA Super Cup. I do believe we're gonna hit that 30. But we are in the UCL final again, the chance to win our 21st trophy. Can this squad do it? Can we get our second UCL of this takeover? And it's a 2-1 victory as Yamal and the captain Gavardia help us win the game. And Lamine Yamal wins his second Ballon d'Or once again. Not a City Academy player winning it yet. And now with 21 trophies to our name, we still need that Ballon d'Or winner from the City Academy. And we still need to win that treble. And we're kicking off season number 8 with an unexpected event. And that event is a double whammy. The club has finally been charged and do have a 1-season transfer ban. However, the board also wants to show the world how good the academy has become, as we have to go ahead and start 4 academy graduates in the starting 11 this season. And if we take a look at our current starting 11, we have 1 player who is from the academy, and that is Oscar Bob. However, some quick changes we can make is Rico Lewis back in that right back position, as well as Ignacio Orozco can finally have his second starting season. However, that does leave us with 1 more player to be from the academy. To be honest, I think the only option we have is Nico O'Reilly, but he's only at a 79 overall. But he's gonna have to go ahead and do replacing the Catalare, and will be starting for the rest of the season. Let's see if we can continue to win more trophies. And what a brilliant first season for Orozco, 61 goals and 9 assists. I can't lie, I think he will be winning that Ballon d'Or. Marmoush and Yamal have pretty great seasons as Oscar Bob has really slowed down and Ryan Cherky has come back for his position. But hold on, Nico Riley has had a sensational season. 10 goals, 6 assists, went up all the way to an 85. What if Nico wins the Ballon d'Or instead? And the squad just continues to look absolutely incredible. Yamal is about to hit a 99 overall. How many trophies did we win? And once again, we do win the Premier League, and we make it 23 with the Community Shield, and it's 24 trophies with the FA Cup, 25 with the Carabao Cup, but we failed to win the International Cup. That could have been crucial. And we also failed to win the UEFA Super Cup, still at 25 trophies. And we are in the Champions League final against Leipzig. And we can go ahead and beat RB Leipzig. We will be treble winners and complete another challenge, but it's a 4-3 loss. So now with 25 trophies to our name, we have 2 seasons to win 5 more, win the treble, but also get that City Academy Ballon d'Or winner. And now in season 9, this is what the squad is looking like as we're going into the unexpected event. But as of this season, I will not be signing anybody because we truly do have the best team in world football. So let's hope that we can win the treble. And that unexpected event is Yamal's demand. Yamal has requested that we focus on winning the treble, but if we do fail, he would like to leave the club in a swap deal as nobody at this point could afford him. And boys, that is a crazy demand from our best player in the team, the man who has won us 2 Ballon d'Ors. So let's not let him down. And it's another extraordinary season from Orozco, 46 goals and 2 assists. But to be honest, you'd expect way more from the rest of the squad if we did have a deep Champions League run. And we do win the Premier League trophy, that's 26, and make that 27 with the Community Shield. But we failed to win the FA Cup. That means the treble is over. And Lamine Yamal will be included in a swap deal next season. And we also failed to win the Carabao Cup, but we win the Club World Cup. That's 28 trophies to our name. And there is no Champions League final as we get the first ever El Clasico final. And as we have 1 season left to go, we have 2 trophies to win, a treble to win, and a City Academy Ballon d'Or winner left to go. I'm afraid that we're gonna fail all of these objectives. And we are now in season number 10, and here are the candidates to replace Lamine Yamal. There is a 31-year-old Morgan Rogers at a 90 overall at Bayern Munich. There also is Cole Palmer still at Chelsea at 32 years old, also at a 90 overall. And finally, the chance to bring back Phil Foden, who's also at a 90 overall. Who's gonna help us win that treble. And the decision has been made. I have decided to swap Lamine Yamal with Cole Palmer, and I hope he can recreate anything he's doing in real life to win that treble. As our final unexpected event is to win the treble or get sacked. If I do not win the treble, my career as a Man City manager is over. And just look at Palmer in the brand new City kits. If you want this in your career mode, check out Road Kits in the link of the description. And now as Cole Palmer joins the side, can this squad finally win the treble? And can we get a Ballon d'Or winner from a youth academy graduate? And what an incredible last season for Orozco. 54 goals now out of 92 overall. But it's a brilliant return for Cole Palmer with 47 and 22. And Oscar Bob and Nico O'Reilly also stepped up. They all won that Ballon d'Or. And here are the rest of the stats, as they probably are the final stats of this entire 10-season takeover. And this is going to be the final side we will ever have here at Man City. We built something extraordinary. But the question is, did we finally do it? Did we win the treble so we can get that City Academy Ballon d'Or winner? And yes, we did win the Premier League. That's our 29th trophy. And make that 30 with the Community Shield. We got that challenge unlocked. And we also win the FA Cup. That means the treble is on. But we also win the Carabao Cup. We're on the route to winning every single trophy. And we finally win our Club World Cup as well. But as we finished in 5th place in the group stages, did we reach the final? We did this PSG in the round of 16. In the quarters, we beat Inter Milan. And in the semis, we beat Juventus, as once again, we're facing RB Leipzig. But the question is, can we win this Champions League and complete the treble? And it's a 3-1 victory. But the question is, who is winning the Ballon d'Or? So as we completed the treble challenge, it seems like a City player won the Ballon d'Or. And it's going to be Cole Palmer, the man who has returned, as Cole Palmer becomes the world's best player from the City Academy. If you guys have enjoyed this video, click on the screen and watch me take over Tottenham for the next 10 seasons.